What up, what up? This is the Athletic Hockey Show for February 11th. It is a Thursday. I am Sean Gentili. I am here with Shayna Goldman. Haley Salvian is in Italy right now. She is there for the Athletic, and she is there to do television for the Canadian Broadcasting Company? Corporation? What does the CBC stand for? I don't know. Corporation. Thank you, producer Jeff. Haley's doing double duty over there. She misses you all, and she sends her love from a game that just got canceled due to a norovirus outbreak on the Finnish women's team. So good luck and Godspeed to everyone who's in that arena right now. Shay, hello. How are we doing?
Oh, I'm great. Two Americans trying to figure out what CBC stands for.
You don't have norovirus, I assume?
Thank goodness I don't. You know what? It's just, of all the things, of all the drama of this, it's like we're not even talking about the fact that they're playing on the ice. That there's been so much about for weeks because we are talking about norovirus. Like, welcome to the 2026 Olympics. Here we go.
This is what I was hearing from all my friends with kids last month. It was norovirus. Everyone was trying to find whose kid was patient zero. Like, I feel like this is going to happen with all these teams. There are children getting thrown under the bus by Olympic teams right now. A little bit of breaking news from Michael Russo, by the way. Jack Hughes will be going to the Olympics for Team USA. He'd been injured, of course, and out of the lineup for the last week or so. That's good news, I suppose, for him to be a middle six winger or healthy scratch or whatever decisions, whatever lineup decisions the U.S. team makes with him, right?
I mean, yeah, great work, everyone. I mean, it's a tough one because on the one hand, you're like, if you're the Devils, you go, we can't take the Olympics away from him. Look at what we've done to this team this season. It's a little bit of happiness, but on the other hand, if you have any shot at all of fixing this, you need Jack Hughes to be 100%. So him going to the Olympics, a little bit risky here. But yeah, it'll be interesting for Team USA because in theory, he should play center. Not very good on the wing. In theory, that would be good. But from what I understand, there's no other options to replace him. There are no other, because they have so many centers. You can't look at a winger. You cannot look at a right-handed winger. They're too short. There's like a bar. If you're not this tall, you can't be on the team. You can't get on the plane. So there's no one to help.
I wonder what Jason Robertson's doing. Like
Cole Caulfield.
Cole Caulfield gets lost in all this. He's getting as screwed as anybody. So yeah, whatever. We'll have plenty of time to talk about whatever happens with the men's tournament down the line. We'll hit that ad nauseum for sure. We do have NHL stuff to talk about. We have, and it's less fun and it's less positive because it involves the Edmonton Oilers, and Tristan Jarry. We'll start there. They lose to Calgary 4-3 last night. Jarry had another stinker. I'm sure, Shayna, we'll talk about that more in a moment here. But I think the big headline coming out of that was Leon Draisaitl's postgame, where he sounded like he was 60 years old, getting off a factory shift, and just didn't have any answers about what stuff's turned into.
Yeah, he has not shed his pissy reputation. I'm grateful for that because
I love pissy Leon.
Pissy
Leon's my favorite Leon.
Yeah, like someone needs to say it. Someone needs to be honest, and like, he wasn't pulling any punches. Were they good defensively? Do they leave their goalies out to dry all the time? Absolutely. But do you need some timely saves? Also, yes. As much as you put it on Jarry, I think the bigger issue is you put it on management for putting them in this position because They literally were like, we have Stuart Skinner. What is the Eastern Conference version of Stuart Skinner? Yes, Tristan Jarry, who has durability issues. This will help with his contract that takes up, I don't know, the rest of Connor McDavid's next contract. That's what you want to tie your Stanley Cup window to. Great work all around. So it's not bad enough that you have pretty much $7.5 million in dead cap space because had to sign Trent Fredric for 8 years, had to, give Andrew Mangiapane a 2-year deal. But on top of that, the goaltending still bad. So they don't have depth scoring. They don't have goaltending. It's the same story every damn year.
And they make expensive bets on trying to fix their problems too. I feel like that's a problem. That's been an issue for them going back, even pre-Stan Bowman. It's not just that they went out and got Tristan Jarry. It's that they went out and got Tristan Jarry at Tristan Jarry's cap hit, right? And they sent assets back to Pittsburgh for a goalie who was volatile on his best day. Shane, I'm sure you and I joked about this, and I'm sure I joked about it on the pod. It always felt in some way like Tristan Jarry was destined to land on the Edmonton Oilers. It just felt like that was the kind of panic move that they would make to address a problem that's needed addressed in one way or another for a long, long time. And of course, that's how it goes down. And like, has he been putrid? No, not. He hasn't been the worst goalie in the league. You know, he's at about 0 on goals saved above expected. His save percentage is horrendous, but you know, so it goes. I don't necessarily want to lay all this at his feet, but I'll lay it at the front office's feet, and I'll lay it at Stan Bowman's feet, because this is not a guy. This has never been a guy who you should bet on. Like the fact that they watched him for any amount of time in Pittsburgh outside of the random 4-week, 5-week stretches he would have where he looked like a top 12 goaltender, it's wild to me that any team with real aspirations would have ever gone and gotten him. And it was funny when the trade happened, and it's
sad.
Yeah, I was gonna say in some regards it's sad now. It's February 5th. Leon Draisaitl should be pumped up to be the flag bearer for the German Olympic team in Milan. He should be worrying about other things than Tristan Jarry, you know, laying another stinker down for that team. So it is, yeah, it's depressing. It's depressing in some degree. But the problems extend beyond him, don't they? I mean, we got the Trent Fredric situation where he sees McDavid get hit and then just does like a drive-by and doesn't address it in any way at all. Trent Fredric gets scratched yesterday, presumably because of, you know, that situation. It's a mess. It's a mess in Edmonton, and I don't know how many buttons are left to push, Shay, except for maybe the Chris Knoblauch shaped one.
Yeah, it feels like there aren't many buttons left to press because they literally jam them all into place with all of the money that they have taken on. And that's the thing. Like, how many goalies have been moved in? Because this is not like, okay, Edmonton needed a goalie this year all of the sudden, and all of the good goalies are gone. No. Edmonton's needed a goalie for some time. You look at the John Gibson trade, Mackenzie Blackwood, Sheeloffs, Wedgwood, all of these goalies. There's been a ton of movement. There have been so many different options over time, and they're just like, no, we're good. The Sabres had a 3-goalie situation. Maybe you could have gotten something out of that. Nope. This was what they chose, and they didn't just choose someone that it's like, okay, for the rest of the year and then figure it out. It's like, this is what you are committing to. And honestly, you look at it and go, Tristan Jarry does not have a playoff record like worth betting on because he's either not healthy enough to play in the playoffs or hasn't been good enough. So if the goaltending, you're
almost single-handedly responsible for Pittsburgh losing a playoff series to the Islanders 6 years ago,
and now it's
whatever
Skinner.
that is.
If Stuart Skinner can lead the Penguins over the Islanders this year, the series we're shaping up to get, I mean, it would be even funnier because, like, listen, is Stuart Skinner chaotic? Yes. Would I have rather have watched a Jarry Skinner crease for the chaos? Because at least there's some upside there. You're like, okay, sure. But then you have to outscore your problems, right? Like, if that's the way you're going to play, and we've seen the Oilers play this way for so long, and like the defense can be good, but sometimes they play it really loose, and like it's a lot about the offense. You got to just outscore all of the chaos. So you say Andrew Mangiapane, who has not repeated his breakout season from Calgary now 4 years.
That might as well have been 100 years ago at this point. That feels like it happened in a different lifetime.
And he's been on multiple teams since, moved around the league, still not working. And then the Trent Fredric of it all, they trade for him, that's one thing. Then they commit 8 years. And I get it, the idea is like, if you go 8 years, the cap hit will be less. That is a fourth-line player. And yes, they tried him with McDavid and Draisaitl. Remember, like, in preseason, in the beginning of the year, and it was like, okay, maybe there's potential here. You could be that grinder on the line. No, not happening either. And it's like, who could have predicted this? And now your hands are tied going.
It's like, well, he makes so much money. He should be able to work with Connor and Leon.
Yeah, in theory.
Incredible.
Nope. Enjoy long term of this, and then you have to buy your way out of contracts. Now it's assets you can't spend. Oh, and as you mentioned, you packaged assets to get Jarry in the first place.
Trade for a $5.4 million goaltender. Fine. Roll the dice on a goaltender like Tristan Jarry. Fine. They can't be the same dude. That's what it is. It was like, yeah, let's throw some spaghetti at the wall in the form of Tristan Jarry. Maybe maybe it works. Like theoretically, fine. Maybe you get a half decent 1B who can win you some games. Those guys shouldn't cost $5.4 million. Go find someone else. Give yourself a different option. And I know this is stuff we could have said in December or whenever that was, but as we all saw coming, it's biting them.
I think we did say
biting
it
them
then.
in a big way. Yeah, we'll just say it again.
Say it then.
We are
going.
correct in our analysis. We are right. This is one of the rare occasions where, you know, everybody saw the way this thing was going to go, and it's followed script to the T. Okay. We got Pete Baugh coming on. I'm sure you folks have heard this already. There was a little bit of coverage on the site yesterday about it. Artemi Panarin traded to Los Angeles, no longer a New York Ranger. Pete Baugh's our guy in New York. He's covered this well. We're going to talk to him about all things Panarin related after the break. All right, we're back, and we're joined by Peter Baugh, New York hockey writer. Writes a little bit about the Rangers, I would say, Pete. I don't.
Every once in a while.
Can we say that's your focal point, or are we not allowed to lay it
I
out
don't
in those
know.
terms?
I would say I certainly write a lot about the Rangers, but then try to write about the New York hockey scene as a whole, and do some features league wide along the way.
We had some stuff go down in the world of New York hockey yesterday. Obviously, the big Artemi Panarin trade. The Rangers move him to Los Angeles for a pretty underwhelming package of picks. And what the hell was the prospect's name again? I always forgot it. Liam Greentree. And then Panarin, of course, immediately signs an extension with Los Angeles. Pete, we talked about this yesterday on the live stream React, but I think it's worth kind of revisiting again. This is an underwhelming return, and I think that was the overwhelming response whenever the trade went down initially. Is that it? That's what Artemi Panarin brought you back. That's the topic of your piece that ran this morning. Why did it go down this way, and why was the return what it was?
I think if you look at why Panarin didn't get the Rangers more return, the biggest thing is leverage. And Panarin had a full no movement clause, which he negotiated when he signed in July 2019. Chris Drury wasn't the GM at the time. Jeff Gordon was. And I don't think anyone really got hung up on the no movement clause, because this was a superstar player who wanted to come to New York, who other teams wanted, who was willing to sign there for probably less than he could have gotten in other places. And a no movement clause was part of the deal. And that's just how things work. So Panarin and his camp, once it became clear that a trade was going to happen and the Rangers gave them permission to talk to other clubs about extensions, which was clearly Panarin's preference going into all of this. Panarin, so he goes through all these teams. He presumably talks to a bunch of them. They pick the deal that they want, the place they want to go that's offering them the extension that they want, and he and his camp choose Los Angeles. So yesterday morning, this is Chris Drury said late in the morning, the Rangers were informed that the Kings were Panarin's choice. He was only going to wait for their, whether that was yesterday before the 3 p.m. roster freeze or at the March 6th trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rangers at that point did not have a ton of leverage. They could really only negotiate with the Kings. Now, the one thing, as I write in this story, that Chris Drury did have as a leverage point was time. He could have chosen to wait it out, to tell the Kings, look, I'm not going to do this until you give me a little bit more. And maybe that would have worked, and maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe Ken Holland would have called his bluff and said, look, you guys don't want to lose Panarin for nothing. You know that he only is going to come here. This is the best offer we're giving. I do wonder what happens if they take a little bit more time. Maybe LA gets more desperate because they need to get a deal done sooner because they're fighting for their lives in the playoff standings. Or maybe it doesn't, and it ends up just the same. I think the Rangers are excited about Greentree as a prospect. He's a captain in the OHL with Windsor. He was the Kings' top prospect, which, to be clear, the Kings have a pretty depleted prospect pool, so that's not saying a ton, but he's still on Corey Pronman's list of top under 23 players. I think he was in the 100s on that list. So he's a legitimate prospect. But yeah, I think when you look at you're trading a franchise player and you only get back a decent but not great prospect, someone who's potentially a like middle six player, as well, and then you get a third round pick that maybe becomes a second if the Kings win a playoff series. It does feel a little underwhelming, but I think you can look at a lot of the reasons, and you kind of see how it got to this point.
I understand why. That's just a fact, right? Like the Rangers didn't have leverage here. I'm with you on the idea of the Kings play tonight, by the way. So like, what if they lose this game, go into the Olympic break? They have time. Ken Holland and company have time to stew on their placement in the overall state of things. Like I'm with you on that. Sure, I get why Panarin wanted to have this done and dusted before the break, but whatever. My overall question though is like, as it relates to Jarry, he didn't have leverage in this. Yes, Jeff Gordon gave Panarin the no movement clause. That's what you do when you're trying to sign a player who's going to show up on Hart Trophy ballots, which Artemi Panarin did during his time in New York. The overall, what contributed to the Rangers' lack of leverage overall and Drury's lack of leverage overall was the way this season has gone. Though the lack of leverage doesn't solely stem from the no movement clause. A lot of it stems from the overall situation that they're dealing with on that team, from an on-ice standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, from Chris Jarry tattooing "I don't want Artemi Panarin anymore" on his forehead publicly of a few weeks ago. Like there is some element of this lack of leverage that's kind of directly created by Chris Jarry. I'm not saying that you're stating otherwise or anything, but I've seen that elsewhere where it's like, well, like, what do you want Jarry to do? It's like, well, he kind of made it. He made part of his bed. This isn't all on a no movement clause that Jeff Gordon gave to a superstar player 8 years ago.
Can I add to that too? The leverage
Yes.
thing of it, like what stands out to me too is the way it's all happened, right? There's no interest in negotiating here. Artemi Panarin is on the move, and it's like, well, if you're rebuilding, that would have made perfect sense, right? If the Rangers said this is not a retool, it's a rebuild, every single player on that team basically is like, besides Fox and Shesterkin, are on the market. But when you're retooling, you do have to think about it of how quickly are you intending to retool? And are you going to be better in 2 years with Panarin on your roster? Because, not a ton of wear and tear on him, some pretty strong comps that point to a more graceful aging curve. Plus, we see what he's doing at this level without much support around him. You pair that with like their pipeline, their developmental track record, all of that, and go, are they realistically better? Could they move other players and then keep him and be fine? And they were like, no, absolutely not. So there was no gray, there were no question marks.
Right.
Like, this is what they're doing. And it feels like they really did hurt their own leverage in that way.
That's the issue, is setting the timeline publicly like that. It's like, wow, we actually want to be good in 2 years. And which, again, Shayna, I know that this is what you're saying. The implication there is like, of course, we're not going to trade Adam Fox. Of course, we're not going to trade Igor Shesterkin. Of course, we're going to be looking for a certain type of player in return, ideally, for our tradable assets. That's the undercurrent to the letter, to letter part 2 from Chris Jarry a couple weeks ago. And I that's what makes this, that's what drives down the sympathy factor for me pretty seriously. On this one.
And they, to be clear, Jarry talked last night for the first time since September. He didn't talk initially after the letter came out, but he spoke last night, and he said, he did say that he didn't put a timeline on any of this. So it's still kind of, to me, like, they can say it's a retool. I'm curious to see how in these next few weeks how many other trades happen and how much of a retool it is versus a rebuild. Because if you start trading off a lot of guys, you can call it a retool, but it's like, what are we doing?
Retool implies something. I know he's not
Yep.
saying like, hey, we want to be challenging for President's trophies by 2028. Like, it's not quite that explicit, but like the retool versus rebuild thing is part of what came back and bit him and contributed to the lack of leverage that created the circumstances that returned what it returned.
It's giving accelerated rebuild, right? Like,
Mhm.
again, part 2, accelerated rebuild part 2. Will the
Like, what
retool
is
become
that?
a rebuild? Will we get a third letter? This is
We
what the
can't
people
say
need to know.
accelerated rebuild twice. So what
Yeah.
do we? How do we phrase it and how do we classify it? This
Yeah.
stinks.
I would also say that one of the other things that contributed to the kind of points of leverage is that the Rangers at the end of January decided to start sitting Panarin for roster management reasons while he was kind of negotiating and talking to teams. And I think you can look at logical points as to why that makes sense. You don't want him to get hurt, all of those things. But that by doing that and by saying he wasn't going to play before the Olympic break, I think that perhaps set like a kind of quasi deadline of you really want to get this done by the Olympic break if you're going to sit a player out for however many games going into the break. And the Rangers ended up getting it done. And part of me also wonders of like, did the Rangers just want to kind of move past this to start looking at other business? Because I wrote in this story, I mean, I don't know how much more they were going to extract from the Kings. I think it's possible that if they waited, maybe they get a little bit more, but I don't know if they were going to get a ton more. The big tests are going to be how they handle Trocheck, how they handle Schneider, how they handle Lafreniere. These are guys who they do have leverage with and who could bring back pretty prominent returns. And maybe they just wanted to focus on that. Maybe they wanted to get the Panarin thing out of the way, have the tone set, and then move forward.
It'll all come out in the wash whenever Bill Guerin sends 3 first-rounders and a top 5 prospect back to New York for Vinny Trocheck in 3 weeks. Like it'll fine. It'll be fine. It'll even out. Pete?
Well, they have a chance to reset here and do like get some, like you said, first prospects if they want to trade Trocheck.
Mhm.
It's still the big question for me is how do you find the kind of high level top 6 talent? They've compiled some decent player like Greentree seems like a decent prospect who maybe could be Corey Pronman. I don't know prospects too well, but Corey Pronman, I've read what he's written about him and described him as a potential middle 6 player. Those are useful players to have and you need them. But you also need high level skill. And the Rangers system doesn't have a whole lot of that. You have Gabe Perreault, who's I think shown flashes this year in his first extended look in the NHL. But you don't have a whole lot of high-end skill. And I think that's going to be a big challenge for Drury going into this next little stretch is identifying players that can bring a bit of that to his team.
This is a question for both you guys because I think you're both situated to speak on it. What kind of player is Artemi Panarin in 2026? What kind of player has he been for the Rangers in the last stretch of games? And I know 2 years ago should have shown up on more MVP ballots than he did. We're past that point now. There's been at least some degree of decline in the production there. What kind of player is LA getting back, and what has he looked like thus far this season with New York? I guess Shayna, we can start with you.
I mean, he's still a needle mover. Is he older?
Yeah.
Yes. Is the production a little bit slower? Yes. But you don't know how much of it's the effects of aging versus the context of the situation. It's always hard to extract that, right? And like we see it a lot of like aging vets moving at the deadline. Think of like Claude Giroux, and it was like a similar situation. Like the production's down in Philly, but here it does feel like he's done a lot with a little despite his surroundings. Like this is still an elite player in transition. This is still a really dangerous puck mover. He's super dynamic. He's hard to battle off the puck. And some of, his skills age better, right? He's not just a sniper relying solely on a couple shots a game. Like the shot volume has ticked up since he's been in New York, and passers generally age better. Players who play on the power play, that tends to age better. And when you compare that to what the Kings have, they have good defensive structure, but they don't have enough offensive pop. It feels like, on paper, a perfect match when you take out the ages, right? Because the Kings that's the whole thing of it. Like, as much as Panarin, everything points to him aging well, when you're a younger roster, I think you can bet on that. And that's why the 2-year deal works out a little bit better here for both LA and Panarin. But it feels like he is what that team's been missing offensively. Add him into the mix. Everyone else jumps down a roll on the depth chart, and it's more fitting for everyone in LA.
How do you like him as a potential lineman for Byfield, Jay?
I mean, I like that. I do think it'll be interesting to see because Byfield's been one of the better puck movers in LA this year. So it's not even a redundancy factor. Is it stacking too much on one line? Yeah, and then the rest lacks. But I would say, why not? You have right? You made the trade now if you're LA, so you have that extra week or so to test things out and figure out where he fits. Like, why not mix and match and see what works?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think briefly, because I'm a nerd and remember this stuff. You mentioned he should have appeared on more Hart Trophy ballots in 24. He got 5th that year. Look at the numbers of the 4 forwards that were above him. I think he was in the right spot.
Yeah, that's true. He was 5th.
He was 5th. Austin Matthews was 4th, and he scored 69 goals that
year. Here's the way I'm going to wiggle out of that, though. I didn't say he should have finished higher. I said he should have shown up on more ballots. Those are different.
That was the toughest year of voting ever. That was really it was Kucherov, McKinnon, Matthews, McDavid, and then you had to pick a 5, and it was like Roman Josi, Sidney Crosby. He should have
gotten throw a few more 5th place votes at him. That's what I'm saying. That's how I'll slide out of that take.
He had, I'm looking at Hockey Reference though, Sean, and he had more 5th place votes than anyone.
Stop doing this to me, Pete. I told you. I took a stand. I'm reversing it.
I would say seasons past, he should have gotten more votes. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I apologize. I couldn't pass up.
Whatever. What else do you want to say? Hit us with the final word here, then get the hell out of my sight.
He started this season really slow. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but his production was really down to start the year. And I think our colleague Vince Mercogliano talked to him at one point. He mentioned that the contract stuff was kind of weighing on him, and then he shaved his head, and for whatever reason, that sometimes it seemed to serve as some good luck for him. And
it worked once, it worked twice. Who knows? If he needs it again, he knows that it's in his back pocket.
Exactly. It's kind of like the last ditch effort, I suppose. But his production picked up, and I think you look at now, and he was still. I mean, this Rangers team has been frankly pretty tough to watch the last little stretch, but he has still made a difference offensively, and he can, like you said, on the power play, he's a weapon, and I think I want to say Ken Holland on TNT last night mentioned the power play as an area they see as
yeah, they're 28th in goals per 60.
Okay,
yeah, bottom 5 on 5 and on the power play,
on both.
And like
tough
to add to the power play too. I wonder where he plays there on the power play, because before he came to the Rangers, he always played the left circle. He was a good right-handed shot from there, and then they started him there. He played there, was scoring a bunch, and then Zibanejad was the better fit there. Like, you have a lot of options.
Hey, the Rangers had to try him at power play quarterback this year on the failed 5 forward unit, so he can really.
He made a 5 forward unit look bad. I can't believe it. I can't believe
it. But he's going to help their power play. I think he's still a really effective player. Like, he's going to finish. I mean, his games played are down because he sat out the last few, but like, I don't know the point pace off the top of my head, but I would guess it was around 90 points by the time of the trade. And I think that's kind of what he probably is at this point. He maybe isn't an 100-point guy anymore, maybe not a 120-point guy, but I think he's someone who can give you 30 goals and 90 points, and that's a really valuable player.
Is he valuable enough what are the Kings at? 61 points? That's the most interesting part of this.
What's tough of that is, like, if they get in, they're going to have to probably play Colorado in the first round, and that's not a really fun matchup. And so does Panarin put the Kings into a place where they can contend with the best teams in the West, the Colorados, the Dallases? I kind of struggle to see it. But he helps, and they got some term with the 2-year deal. And I was a little surprised, honestly, with some of the numbers that were being thrown around by the insiders of what Panarin was looking for. The fact that it only ended up being a $22 million extension was a little interesting to me. And I wonder if other teams offered more in terms of years, and he decided to kind of go the the shorter term route and then try and get one more deal in a couple of years. It's just interesting that
if you're signing with LA, that's the one thing, right? Because he's the top free agent winger still on the market. Like he's still, that's why like the leverage too of it all. It's like the Rangers had none, but it's like any team that's interested in signing him, this is your shot. But if you're him, realistically, do you commit 4 years to LA? Do you commit 6 years to LA and think that's where you're ending your career?
If you're LA, the flip side of the coin is like if I'm Ken Holland, I'm like, okay, this is fine. I feel better about signing a 35-year-old Artemi Panarin for 2 years versus 7 or whatever. Like I think the contract weirdly makes sense for both sides. And he played his first game in a Kings jersey tonight, I believe.
No,
so that's no.
After
it's not after the break. Getting corrected all over the place here. I don't.
You know what? I would have been fun because there's no other late game. Like that would have been like Vegas, LA.
Ugh.
Let's cook. No.
Boring. So we do have to wait until after the break to see Artemi Panarin in a Kings jersey. But hey, he gets to try to house hunt, I guess, over the Olympic break, and that's really all that matters. Pete, thank you for your time, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, folks, we're back. Thank you, Pete. We love Pete. Do we love Pete? Do you like Pete? Do you like Pete?
You know what? This is the time I'm going to say, I'm going to be like, I hate him. Yes, we love him.
He's not listening to this. We're going to do a quick little news lap here because there is stuff that we need to talk about. Gavin McKenna was charged with felony assault yesterday in Pennsylvania. McKenna is, at one point, was certainly the presumptive number one pick in the upcoming NHL draft. He's still one of the very tippy top prospects. Shayna, I was on this last night, so I had the pleasure of trying to track down police in State College and what have you. State College, Pennsylvania Police Department. They go to answering machines at 5:00 at the desk there. That was pretty fun. It's a developing situation with Gavin McKenna, and it's certainly a serious one. The felony charges stem from an incident where he allegedly punched a man twice, put him in a situation where he needed some facial surgery. It was in a bar district after their outdoor game last Saturday. There are certainly other details that have yet to be confirmed or yet to be released. It's developing, but what's clear is that this is a major problem for Gavin McKenna because felony assault charges like the one he's facing in the state of Pennsylvania are punishable by up to 20 years in jail. So we'll see how it shakes out. There's certainly a lot of legal maneuvering to be done. He's going to be in court next week for his preliminary hearing. We'll see how things go from there. The upshot is that this is a serious roadblock for Gavin McKenna, and it's not something that's going to go away particularly quick. What the final form, gotta wait and see. But this is a very, very real issue, clearly, because it is felony assault.
Yeah, this was a shocker. Like it's like easy to get the jokes off of like I would choose that over going to the Vancouver Canucks first overall too. Like and get all those out there. But I was glad
I had to do work stuff for this, so I didn't have to just watch the same jokes getting made over and over and over again on Twitter because that's really fun thing that happens now. Whenever any hockey player is involved with anything of that type, there's 5 different jokes, and the dumbest people on earth take turns making them. So that's the upshot. But yeah. Gotta wait and see on that. Court date on February 11th, I believe, and we'll see what comes out of it. One of the plays that stood out from last night, Shayna, was in Bruins Panthers. The Sandis Vilamanis elbow to the head of Charlie McAvoy. I saw that live. I'm wondering if you did too. My first reaction was, oh my God, it happened to Charlie McAvoy again because he's had such bad luck with injuries overall. Had such bad luck at Four Nations. My immediate thought was, this dude is concussed, A, and B, he's going to miss the Olympics. Now, thankfully, he came back during the game. It seems like he's fine. Didn't speak post game, but all signs point in positive directions there. Was that the worst elbow you've seen in a game all season long? Because I'm kind of I can't think of anything that topped it from our guy Sandis Vilamanis.
Yeah, I'm like, my first thought was like, can someone please ship Charlie McAvoy a giant thing of sage? Like, I don't understand what's going on with this like injury luck. It's awful.
Freaky.
But that I did not like the elbow, and what I did not like most of all was that the Florida Panthers ended up with a power play over it. And I'm watching this happen
Isn't
live.
that incredible?
It's something, and I'm watching it live, and you hear the broadcast say he lost his balance, and I'm thinking I too would lose my balance if I was elbowed in the face. I would definitely lose my balance, but not to
Yeah. If someone hits you in the head with a baseball bat, you might lose your balance.
yeah.
It's usually how it works.
What gets me is there is a system in place. Now, is the system properly used all the time? No, we see it all the time where it's like, look, we're going to review this and still come up with the wrong call.
Mhm.
And that is aggravating enough. But when something like that happens, I don't know how you don't just like, especially you see a player on the right. We say it, we hear it all the time that injuries are not what's going to decide things. It's just it ups the severity of things, right? When the Department of Player Safety looks at it. But when you see a player on the ice, is your gut reaction not, maybe we should take a look at this? Maybe we should stop things, go through the review, because I saw a player leaving his feet with the elbow up very intentionally. I saw a player who is an NHL hockey player and I'm sure understands, like, has control over the situation, and that he could have avoided McAvoy. This was not this collision had to happen type thing that it's like, that was a reactionary thing. Like, it looked a little bit intentional to me. And I think upon review, you should have seen that if somehow you missed it at first pass.
They're elbowing minor penalties for a reason. Like they exist. It's a call that's made, and it's a call that's made appropriately, right? Like that was on one of them. that was nasty and should have at minimum cost him a whole lot more. It should have cost him too much. There's no way on earth we should be talking about the Florida Panthers going to that should have been just taken off the board there. Panthers power play after that.
Call it a day. The same amount you get for showing your middle finger on a broadcast, by the way.
We should have. You should have come on last week for that. That was fun.
It was my moment. I've never enjoyed a story more.
We should have. Me and McEnany should have kicked off Frankie and had you on in his place.
I'm going to sit here with my middle fingers up the whole time, and then we could not show this broadcast to children.
What are we going to do? What will the children? Well, all those little children who look to William Nylander for guidance. What's going to happen to them? I think this might be the last time we talk before the Olympics. So let's close out with this.
Olympics literally are start. Are you talking the USA is playing the Olympic in a couple minutes?
Did the puck? Well, yeah. Did the puck drop yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'm technically right. Certainly, the last time we'll talk before the women's tournament. Probably the last time we'll talk before men's. Give me a hot take. Any hot take will do. I want to know the Olympic hill that you're going to die on here.
Czechia is winning a medal.
Oh!
But I feel like everyone has, we have to do those bold predictions. And I wrote up I'm like, that's going to be mine. And then there were two already that were that. And I'm like, maybe that's like a vanilla prediction.
I think that, no. I think it counts. You can say Czechia's going to win. How about Czechia's going to win 2 medals?
That I am very here for. I don't know what it is about Team Czechia. Maybe it is because I am Czech and it's rare I get to root for a country that is mine in something. But they're like my favorite little disruptors. And it's like that playing style on the women's side is so much fun that I'm like, yes, this is the team we need. But on the men's side now, I'm like, all right, let's see what they can do. Like, Czechia silver medal, who says no?
We love it. Welcome back to international hockey, David Pasternak. Thank you very much. And thank you, Shayna. And thank you, Peter Baugh, wherever you are.
Who we love, we don't hate.
Thanks to you fine folks for watching and listening to this episode of the Athletic Hockey Show. Max, Laz, and Jesse have the next one. That's on Monday. They're going to preview Team USA, Shayna's beloved Czechia, Sweden, potentially more. Frankie McIndoe and I are getting Canada, Finland, and Slovakia in a special Tuesday edition of the Athletic Hockey Show ahead of the Winter Olympics. So that's what's going on. Again, we appreciate you listening and watching and however you consume this. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell to stay informed and catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And in the meantime, you can join our Discord community. We'll see you there.